What if the limits you see aren't real, just rules you forgot, you wrote. Most people never test that sentence. They coast, they wait, they call it timing. You won't. Tonight, we pull the fence posts out of your mind one by one. No hype, no magic, just the truth. Your standards set your ceiling, raise them, and the ceiling moves. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to expand thought by thought, habit by habit, day by day. Pain won't be a stop sign anymore. It will be the proof you're growing. Distraction won't be your default. Discipline will. And someday won't live in your vocabulary. Action will. In the next minutes, you'll learn how to break the mental prison you don't know you're in. Turn resistance into fuel. Build routines that win even on your worst day. Choose rooms that force you to level up. Speak to yourself like a leader until your brain believes it. Stack tiny wins until impossible becomes your warm-up. This is a contract with your future self. Sign it with attention. Seal it with effort. Because when you push past the edge, something wild happens. The edge moves. If you're ready to stop negotiating with your limits, take a breath. Lock in. Let's push until everything is possible. Every human being is born with two lives, the one they live and the one they're capable of living. The tragedy is that most people never discover the second one, not because they're weak, but because they've accepted boundaries that were never real in the first place. They live inside invisible walls, mistaking them for destiny, when in truth, they are nothing more than limits set by thought. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated, not because the path was impossible, but because a voice inside whispered, "You're not ready," or "That's too much for you"? That voice has a name. It's the prison of the mind. And it's the most powerful force holding people back from greatness. The world doesn't hand out chains. We forge them ourselves through doubt, fear, and excuses. They're not made of steel. They're made of beliefs, and beliefs, unlike steel, can be broken. But before you break them, you must first recognize them. The truth is, for your life today is a mirror of your standards. If you demand little from yourself, life returns little. If you demand more discipline, courage, persistence, life has no choice but to rise to meet you. The people you admire, the ones who achieve what looks impossible, are not special. They are not born chosen. They simply refuse to accept the walls others live behind. They questioned the script, they tore up the rules, and then they wrote new ones. Most men never get this far. They drift. They tell themselves stories to justify why they remain the same. It's too late. I don't have the right background. I'm waiting for the right time. Excuses, every single one. And excuses are the bricks of the mental prison. The more you repeat them, the stronger the walls become. But here's the truth that will shake you awake. Those walls don't exist until you accept them. Life itself is neutral. It doesn't care whether you rise or fall. The universe is not plotting against you, nor is it plotting for you. It simply reflects your choices, your mindset, your effort. You are not trapped by circumstance, you are trapped by perspective. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a young athlete who trains with chains around his ankles. Every sprint feels like agony. Every step feels like resistance. Eventually, he accepts that he will always be slow. But one day, the chains are removed. Suddenly, He runs with explosive power, realizing the limits were never his legs, they were the weights. That's your life. The chains are the beliefs you've carried for years. I can't. I'm not enough. It's impossible. But when you remove them, when you refuse to carry them another day, your speed, your strength, your potential, it all explodes. So how do you begin? You start by recognizing that comfort is not your friend. The prison of the mind is disguised as comfort. It whispers, "Stay here. It's safe. Don't risk. Don't fail. Don't embarrass yourself." But comfort is a liar. It promises safety while slowly killing your growth. The greats of history, the inventors, the leaders, the visionaries, they lived in the land of discomfort. They learned to embrace the stretch, the pain, the challenge, because they knew that was where possibility was born. And here's the paradox: the more you chase comfort, the smaller your life becomes. But the more you lean into discomfort, the bigger your life gets. Each time you step beyond what you thought you could do, you redraw the boundaries of your mind. And little by little, the impossible becomes your new normal. This is why standards matter. If you live with low standards, tolerating mediocrity in your work, in your health, in your relationships, you lock yourself in the same small room forever. But if you raise your standards, if you demand focus, disciplina, and growth, you force your mind to expand, and your life expands with it. Standards are not suggestions. They are the laws you write for yourself. Think of every area of your life right now. Your body, your finances, your career, your habits. They are all the result of what you have tolerated up until this moment. If you've tolerated laziness, your body reflects it. If you've tolerated excuses, your bank account reflects it. If you've tolerated distraction, your dreams reflect it. Nothing changes until you raise the rules. And when you raise them, you will face resistance. Your old self will fight to keep its throne. It will whisper, "You're fine as you are. Why push harder? Why risk?" That is the prison speaking. But you are not here to be fine. You are here to be extraordinary. The chains will only break when you decide that mediocrity is no longer acceptable. When you demand of yourself, "I will not settle. I will not stop. I will not be average." That declaration alone begins to dismantle the prison. Chapter 1 is this: understand that the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world, but against the limits you have accepted in your own head. Break those chains, and you unlock a power so great that people will wonder if you've been reborn. This is not motivation, it is law. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your destiny. Guard it, command it, and refuse to let it convince you that you are meant to be anything less than limitless. Because once you see the prison for what it is, a lie, you can walk free. Every achievement begins with a decision, but every transformation begins with a standard. Standards are the invisible lines that dictate what you will accept, what you will reject, and how far you're willing to go. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because their standards are too low. They are willing to settle. They tolerate excuses. They accept mediocrity as if it were carved into stone. But here's the truth: your standards are not fixed. They are choices. And every day you either raise them or you reinforce the old ones. Think about the areas of your life where you've plateaued. Maybe your health has declined, not because you don't know what to do, but because you've accepted being good enough. Maybe your finances are stagnant, not because you're incapable of earning more, but because you've decided survival is sufficient. Maybe your relationships lack depth, not because you don't care, but because you've accepted surface-level connection instead of demanding honesty, presence, and growth. The quality of your life is the reflection of what you've chosen to tolerate. Now imagine raising those standards, truly raising them. Imagine deciding that good enough is no longer acceptable. Imagine demanding of yourself an extraordinary level of discipline, clarity, and commitment. That decision alone creates an earthquake inside your mind. Why? Because the moment you raise your standards, your actions must follow. Take a look at history. The people we remember, whether in business, in sports, in art, or in leadership, were not simply the most talented. They were the ones who demanded more of themselves than anyone else dared to demand. Michael Jordan demanded more from his training. Steve Jobs demanded perfection in design. Oprah Winfrey demanded resilience in the face of obstacles. These weren't suggestions. They were unshakable standards. And you have that same power. Raising your standards doesn't mean you suddenly achieve overnight miracles. It means you refuse to accept the small compromises that keep most people stuck. It means no more sleeping through alarms, no more half-hearted effort, no more waiting for someone else to validate your vision. When you set higher standards, the excuses that once ruled your life begin to dissolve. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and you start declaring, "This is who I am." Understand, this discipline is nothing more than standards in action. It is the daily execution of what you promised yourself you would uphold. Without standards, disciplina collapses. With standards, discipline becomes automatic. Think of an architect designing a skyscraper. Before the steel beams are laid, the foundation must be deep, unshakable, and precise. Your standards are that foundation. If they're weak, the whole building crumbles. But if they're strong, you can build as high as your imagination dares to go. Most people live their lives waiting for motivation. They want to feel ready. But champions live by standards. They don't wait for the right mood. They follow the rules they have written for themselves. If they decide that health is a non-negotiable, they exercise whether they feel like it or not. If they decide that building wealth is essential, they save and invest even when temptation whispers to spend. If they decide that growth is required, they read, learn, and stretch their minds long after others have quit. That is the difference between drifting and directing. Here's what happens. When you raise your standards at first, the old you will resist. Your comfort zone will scream. Your habits will fight back. You may even feel like an imposter, like you're pretending to be someone you're not. But this is the signal that transformation has begun. The discomfort you feel is proof that you're leaving behind the weaker version of yourself, and then something incredible happens. Your identity shifts. You stop saying, "I want to be disciplined," and you start saying, "I am disciplined." You stop saying, "I want to be successful," and you start saying, "I am the kind of person who creates success." And because identity shapes action, your actions naturally align with your new standards. This is the secret to becoming unstoppable. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. Goals inspire, but standards sustain. Anyone can dream of greatness. Few are willing to demand it of themselves daily. Let me challenge you. Right now, in this moment, decide which part of your life needs higher standards. Is it your body? Then stop tolerating excuses about time or energy. Is it your finances? Then stop tolerating debt. Reckless spending or procrastination. Is it your relationships? Then stop tolerating dishonesty. Neglect or small talk that leads nowhere. Raise the bar, then raise it again and again. Each time you do, you will notice something profound. Life responds to the standards you set, the opportunities you attract, the people you meet, the results you achieve. All of them shift the moment you demand more of yourself. It's as if the universe itself is waiting to see how serious you are before it delivers the rewards. But here's the warning: raising your standards is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong commitment. You can't raise them today and relax tomorrow. You must revisit them daily, reinforce them, live by them until they become your default mode of being. Remember this law: comfort lowers standards. Growth raises them. If you want to live a life of power, you must constantly choose growth over comfort. So as you leave this chapter, burn these words into your mind. I will no longer tolerate mediocrity from myself or from anyone around me. I will demand excellence, consistency, and greatness. Because when you raise your standards, you don't just change what you do, you change who you are. If there is one enemy more dangerous than failure, it is comfort. Failure teaches. Failure sharpens. Failure forces you to adjust, to innovate, to grow. But comfort lulls you to sleep while the world passes you by. It convinces you that good enough is good enough. And before you realize it, years have vanished and your potential has withered into regret. Think about it. No one ever wakes up one morning at the peak of success and says, I got here because I stayed comfortable. Every story of greatness, every tale of victory, every empire built has one common thread. It was born from discomfort, from stepping into the unknown, from stretching beyond what felt safe. Comfort is seductive. It tells you, stay here, don't risk, don't push, don't stretch. It rewards you with short-term ease while robbing you of long-term growth. It makes the couch more appealing than the gym, the phone more tempting than the book, and excuses more soothing than accountability. And the longer you listen to it, the weaker your spirit becomes. But discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. It is the crucible where character is forged. When you run that extra mile, when you pick up the book instead of the phone, when you stand up to fear, instead of running from it, you are telling the world, and more importantly yourself, I refuse to stay small. Consider this truth. The edge of discomfort is where life truly begins. If you only ever do what feels safe, you'll never know your power. If you only ever follow the easy path, you'll never discover your strength. Discomfort reveals to you the version of yourself that comfort hides. Look at nature. A seed must break apart in darkness before it can grow into a tree. A caterpillar must dissolve in its cocoon before it can emerge as a butterfly. Even the diamond is created only under immense pressure. Why do we think we are any different? Growth requires discomfort. Transformation demands struggle. But here's the catch. Most people will do anything to avoid discomfort. They will trade their dreams for ease, their potential for safety. They're calling for convenience. They avoid challenge, and in doing so, they avoid greatness. The men and women who rise, who achieve the impossible, are those who choose the opposite. They deliberately place themselves in situations that stretch them. They train their bodies when others rest. They sharpen their minds when others waste time. They make the uncomfortable their new normal. Here's the paradox you must understand. The more you practice discomfort, the more comfortable it becomes. At first, waking up early feels unbearable. But after weeks of consistency, it becomes automatic. At first, pushing your limits in business or fitness feels overwhelming. But soon, it becomes your baseline. This is the secret of champions. They condition themselves to thrive in places others fear to enter. Now let's be clear. Discomfort doesn't mean recklessness. It doesn't mean destroying your health or pushing blindly without wisdom. It means training your mind and body to embrace challenge instead of retreating from it. It means expanding your threshold for what you can endure. It means becoming the kind of person who runs toward the fire while others run away. Ask yourself right now, where have I chosen comfort over growth? Maybe you've stayed in a job you hate because it's safe. Maybe you've avoided starting that business, writing that book, or pursuing that dream because failure scares you. Maybe you've tolerated toxic relationships because being alone felt uncomfortable. And yet, deep down, and you know the truth, everything you want lies on the other side of discomfort. That's why some people seem unstoppable. It's not because they're fearless, it's because they've trained themselves to move forward even when they're afraid. They've learned to see fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal, go this way. Growth lives here. Comfort zones don't stay the same size. They shrink if you don't expand them. The more you give in to ease, the less capable you become. The less you challenge yourself, the smaller your world gets. But the more you push into discomfort, the bigger your world becomes. Opportunities that once scared you become natural. Challenges that once crushed you become routine. Think of your life as a muscle. Muscles grow only through resistance, without weight, without tension, without stress. They shrink. The same is true for your spirit. Discomfort is the weight room of the mind. Each time you push against resistance, you grow stronger. So here's your challenge. Seek discomfort daily. Don't run from it, run toward it. Say yes to the opportunities that make your palms sweat. Tackle the tasks that intimidate you. Have the hard conversations you've avoided. Try the things you've told yourself you weren't ready for. Each time you do, you expand. Each time you do, you become more. At the end of your life, you won't regret the discomfort you embraced. You'll regret the comfort you clung to. You'll regret the dreams you didn't chase because safety felt easier. You'll regret the chances you didn't take because fear felt safer. But if you commit to making discomfort your ally, you will not only grow, you will rise. You will live a life so expansive, so extraordinary, that others will wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple. While they sought comfort, you sought growth. While they avoided struggle, you embraced it. While they stopped, you pushed. Remember, this comfort is the silent killer of potential, but discomfort is the birthplace of greatness. Choose wisely. If discipline is the engine of success, vision is the compass. Without vision, you may run fast, but you'll run in circles. Without vision, your days blur together in endless activity, yet nothing meaningful is achieved. But with vision clear, sharp, undeniable, you possess a force so magnetic that it pulls you through fatigue, through obstacles, through doubt, until victory becomes inevitable. The tragedy is that most people never build a vision. They confuse wishes with vision. They say, "I'd like to be rich," or "I want to be healthy," or "I hope for a better life." That isn't vision. That's fantasy. Vision is specific, vivid, alive. It has detail. It has shape. It wakes you up early and keeps you grinding long after others have gone to bed. Think of the great builders of history. Every skyscraper began in the mind of an architect. Every masterpiece began in the imagination of an artist. Every empire began in the vision of a leader who refused to accept the world as it was. They saw what could be, and then they dedicated their lives to making it real. The same principle applies to you. Without a vision, you live by chance. With a vision, you live by choice. Vision answers the question, "Why am I here?" It gives meaning to your pain, context to your struggles, and purpose to your discipline. Without vision, discomfort feels unbearable. With vision, discomfort becomes fuel. Without vision, rejection feels like a dead end. With vision, rejection becomes redirection. But here's the truth, your vision cannot be vague. It must be crystal clear. If you want wealth, define how much, by when, and through what vehicle. If you want health, define the weight, the energy level, the lifestyle you will embody. If you want impact, define who you will serve, how many lives you will touch, and what legacy you will leave. Your subconscious mind craves clarity. It cannot deliver on confusion. The sharper your vision, the faster your mind works to align your habits, your energy, and your environment to make it happen. And here's where most people fail. They underestimate the power of writing it down. A vision that lives only in your head remains a dream. A vision written down, reviewed daily, spoken aloud, becomes a contract with your future. It transforms from possibility into inevitability. Think of vision as a lighthouse. The storms of life will come. Doubt will crash against you. Fatigue will weigh you down. Critics will shout from the sidelines. But the vision, your lighthouse, keeps you steady. It doesn't move. It doesn't waver. It reminds you where you're going, even when the waves are high. Now, let's talk about obsession. The men and women who move mountains don't merely have goals, they have obsessions. They see their vision so vividly that it consumes them. They talk about it. They dream about it. They sacrifice for it. While others look for balance, they look for alignment. While others dabble, they devote. This is what separates the winners from the wanderers. Obsession is not unhealthy when it is directed toward growth, service, and contribution. It gives you energy when others are exhausted. It sharpens your focus when others are distracted. It makes you unstoppable because you're not chasing something, you're embodying it. Here's a test. Does your vision scare you? If it doesn't, it's too small. Vision should stretch you beyond what you know, beyond what feels safe, beyond what feels certain. If your vision doesn't make you nervous, it won't change you. And if it doesn't change you, it won't change your life. The purpose of vision is not to make life easier, it is to make you greater. But vision without action is fantasy. Once you craft your vision, you must tie it to your identity. Stop saying, I want to be successful. Start declaring, I am a success in progress. Stop saying, I want to be disciplined. Start declaring, I am the kind of person who never negotiates with excuses. Your vision must dictate your standards. Every choice must pass through a filter. Does this bring me closer to my vision? Or does it push me further away? With that filter, life becomes simpler. Distractions lose their power. Comfort loses its hold. The opinions of others fade. Because your compass is fixed, you are no longer lost in the noise of the world. You are guided by the signal of your destiny. And here is the secret vision creates: resilience. When others quit at the first obstacle, you persist because your vision is too valuable to abandon. When others get distracted by temporary pleasures, you remain focused because your vision is permanent. When others settle, you rise because your vision will not let you rest. So let me challenge you. Stop drifting. Stop wishing. Stop hoping. Craft your vision with precision. Write it down. Speak it daily. See it vividly. And then live as if it's already true. Because the man or woman with a vision is never ordinary. They are unstoppable. They are magnetic. They are destined. Vision is not optional. Vision is the compass of winners. And if you do not set it for yourself, the world will set it for you. Choose wisely. Dreams are beautiful. They ignite the imagination, stir the soul, and give us hope. But dreams alone are fragile. Left on their own, they collapse under the weight of excuses, distractions, and doubt. What transforms a dream into reality is not luck, not talent, not even opportunity. It is discipline. Discipline is the bridge. Without it, every vision remains a fantasy. With it, every vision becomes inevitable. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people do not fail because their dreams are impossible. They fail because they never build the discipline required to pursue them daily. They mistake inspiration for progress. They confuse motivation with commitment. They think feeling good is enough to get them where they want to go. But inspiration fades, motivation drifts. Only discipline endures. Discipline is simple, but it is not easy. It means doing what must be done whether you feel like it or not. It means showing up for yourself even when no one is watching. It means honoring the promises you made to yourself long after the mood you made them in has passed. Think of the bodybuilder who lifts weights day after day, even when no one applauds. Think of the writer who fills page after page before the world ever reads a single word. Think of the entrepreneur who wakes before dawn, grinding in silence while others are still asleep. What do they all share? Discipline, the unglamorous, uncelebrated, relentless habit of doing the work. Most people look for shortcuts. They want the hack, the trick, the easy way out. They want the reward without the responsibility. But there are no shortcuts to greatness. You cannot outsmart discipline. You cannot bypass consistency. Every lasting success story you admire was built brick by brick, habit by habit, discipline by discipline. Here's the secret. Discipline is not punishment. It is liberation. It frees you from the chaos of impulse. It protects you from the trap of procrastination. It gives you control over your life because you are no longer at the mercy of moods, circumstances, or distractions. Without discipline, life owns you. With discipline, you own life. Understand this: willpower alone is not enough. Willpower is like a spark. It burns hot, but fades quickly. Discipline is like a furnace. It burns steady, day after day. To build discipline, you must build systems, morning routines that anchor your day, evening rituals that prepare your mind for tomorrow, boundaries that protect your focus, standards that eliminate negotiation. Take a moment to reflect. What are the non-negotiables in your life? If you have none, you are drifting. Discipline begins when you draw the line in the sand and say, "This is what I do every day, no matter what." Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's building your business, making sales calls, or studying your craft. Whatever it is, it must be done daily until it becomes as natural as breathing. And here's the beauty discipline compounds. At first, it feels small, even pointless. One workout, one page, one phone call. But discipline is not about one day, it's about every day. Stack enough discipline days together and you create momentum. Stack enough momentum and you create breakthroughs. The world calls it overnight success. But you'll know the truth. It was discipline all along. But let me warn you, discipline will test you. It will demand sacrifice. It will require you to say no when everyone else says yes. It will force you to confront your own excuses, in your own laziness, your own comfort, and many will quit here, believing the cost is too high. But those who persist, those who embrace the weight of discipline, will eventually stand where others only dreamed. Here's a principle worth remembering. Pain is inevitable, but you get to choose the type. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Every time you skip what matters, every time you betray your own standards, regret adds another brick to the wall of disappointment. But every time you choose discipline, every time you act in alignment with your vision, you remove a brick, you tear down the wall, and you move closer to freedom. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You will slip. You will miss days. You will stumble. But the disciplined person does not stay down. They return. They recommit. They rebuild momentum. That resilience, more than talent, more than genius, is what creates legends. So let me ask you, what is one discipline you must master now to change your future? Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your mindset. Whatever it is, stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time will never come. Begin now. Begin small. Begin today. Because discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your circumstances. Discipline is loyalty to your future self. Every time you practice it, you're proving to yourself, I can be trusted. I keep my word. I am building something that will last. Dreams without discipline are fantasies. But with discipline, you don't just dream, you build. You don't just wish, you create. You don't just talk, you live it. And one day, when others ask how you did it, when they marvel at your success, you won't need to boast. Your life will speak for itself. Your results will be the evidence, and the answer will be clear. Discipline was the bridge. There is one reality in life that no one escapes pain. Pain will find you, whether you prepare for it or not. It shows up as rejection, failure, loss, betrayal, fatigue, and doubt. Most people see pain as the enemy, something to run from, to numb, to avoid at all costs. But here's the truth: pain is not your enemy. Pain is your greatest teacher, your hidden ally, your silent trainer. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not whether they face pain, but how they use it. Think about it. When you lift weights, what creates growth? Resistance. The pain of your muscles tearing and repairing. Without that discomfort, no strength is built. The same principle applies to life. Every setback, every obstacle, every heartbreak, it is resistance. And resistance is the raw material of growth. Most people run at the first sign of it. They retreat. They quit. They complain. They believe pain is a signal to stop, when in reality, it's proof they are moving forward. Champions flip the script. They embrace pain as confirmation that progress is happening. They don't say, "Why me?" They say, "What is this teaching me?" Let's be honest, pain hurts. No one enjoys rejection. No one smiles at failure. No one wakes up excited to be betrayed or disappointed. But the disciplined mind learns to see beyond the sting. It learns to ask, what strength is this pain building in me? What lesson is it carving into my character? What weakness is it burning away? Look at the stories of greatness and you'll see a pattern. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, emerged stronger, not weaker. Thomas Edison, failing thousands of times, finally created light. Oprah Winfrey, scarred by poverty and hardship, rose to become one of the most influential women in history. These people didn't avoid pain, they transformed it. They allowed it to sharpen their vision and harden their resolve. Pain can either break you or build you. It depends on the choice you make in the moment it arrives. If you allow pain to define you, you shrink. But if you allow pain to refine you, you expand. Here's a perspective. Shift pain is evidence that you're alive, that you're stretching, that you're demanding more of yourself. Comfort produces numbness. Pain produces awareness. It wakes you up. It tells you where you need to grow. It exposes the areas of weakness that must be strengthened if you're going to carry the weight of your vision. But here's the crucial part. You must not waste pain. Too many people go through hardship and come out the same or worse because they never stop to extract the lesson. They never ask the question, how can this serve me? How can this sharpen me? Pain without reflection is just suffering. Pain with reflection becomes fuel. And once you learn to use pain as fuel, you become unstoppable. Why? Because you no longer fear it. The enemy cannot control a person who is not afraid of discomfort. The critic cannot silence the one who thrives on resistance. The obstacle cannot crush the one who has learned to turn adversity into advantage. There is a phrase worth remembering. The obstacle is the path every time life places a challenge in front of you. It's not to block you, it's to build you. The harder the challenge, the greater the strength it produces when you refuse to back down. But let's get practical. How do you turn pain into power? First, reframe it. Instead of asking why, me ask what now. Shift from victim to creator. Second, feel it, but don't camp in it. Acknowledge the hurt, but then demand that it pay rent by producing wisdom. Third, act through it. Movement heals. Taking consistent steps forward keeps pain from paralyzing you. Here's the paradox. The more pain you embrace, the less power it has over you. The boxer who has been hit 1,000 times is no longer terrified of punches. The entrepreneur who has failed 12 times no longer trembles at rejection. The student who has struggled through setbacks no longer collapses at obstacles. Experience turns pain from a monster into a messenger. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean you should chase pain recklessly. It means you should never waste the pain that life inevitably delivers. Let it mold you into someone unbreakable. Because here's the ultimate truth. Your greatness is not measured by the size of your victories, but by the size of the pain you've endured and transformed. The deeper the pain, the stronger the character it can build, the heavier the burden, the more powerful the spirit that carries it. So the next time you face rejection, remind yourself, this is sharpening my resilience. The next time you stumble in failure, tell yourself, this is training my persistence. The next time you feel abandoned or betrayed, declare, this is teaching me self-reliance and strength. Winners don't avoid pain. They master it. They bend it, shape it, and turn it into energy. They use it to push themselves further than comfort ever could. And when you learn this art, when you no longer fear hardship, you unlock a freedom most people will never know. Because once pain becomes power, nothing can stop you. The most powerful voice you will ever hear is not the one on this recording. It's not the voice of a mentor, a leader, or even a critic. It is the voice inside your own head, the one that speaks when no one else is listening. That voice is either your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy. And the way you master it determines whether you rise to greatness or sink into mediocrity. Every action you take begins with a thought. Every habit, every decision, every success or failure is rooted in the conversation you have with yourself daily. If your inner voice is filled with doubt, fear, and excuses, your life will mirror those words. If your inner voice is filled with power, conviction, and clarity, your life will reflect that strength. Most people never realize this. They believe circumstances shape them. They believe other people control their fate. But the truth is, their own inner dialogue has been quietly programming their destiny all along. Think about the last time you failed at something. Did your inner voice say, "See, I told you you're not good enough"? Or did it say, "This is the lesson. Now let's rise"? That difference right there decides everything. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever words you plant, it will grow. Plant seeds of doubt, and you harvest hesitation. Plant seeds of power, and you harvest unstoppable action. The soil does not care what you plant. It simply multiplies it. That is why guarding your inner voice is one of the most important disciplines you can ever develop. But let's be real, the inner critic is ruthless. It knows your weaknesses. It remembers every failure, every embarrassment, every disappointment, and it loves to use them against you. That voice whispers, "You're too late. You're not smart enough. You don't have what it takes." If you accept those whispers, you live small. Here's the good news. You are not powerless against it. You can train your inner voice the same way you train a muscle. You can replace those toxic whispers with declarations of strength. You can interrupt doubt with certainty. You can condition your mind to speak words of victory until they become automatic. How? Start by speaking to yourself like you would speak to someone you love. You wouldn't tell your child, your partner, or your best friend, you're worthless. So why would you allow yourself to say it to you? Start replacing those destructive scripts with affirmations that align with the person you want to become. Say, I am disciplined. I am capable. I am resilient. I am worthy of success. At first, it will feel fake. You'll feel like you're lying to yourself. But remember, your inner voice has been lying to you for years, telling you that you're not enough. If lies can break you, then truth can build you. Keep repeating it until your mind has no choice but to believe. Visualization is another weapon. Picture yourself succeeding, conquering, winning. See the details. Feel the emotions. Hear the applause in your imagination before the world ever gives it. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference between vividly imagined success and lived success. The more you visualize, the more your inner voice aligns with victory. And let's not forget action. Nothing silences doubt faster than proof. When your inner critic says, you can't, take one small action that proves it wrong. Each step forward, no matter how small, adds evidence to your belief. Over time, your inner voice shifts from, I can't to, I can, because I already have. The people who achieve greatness are not free of self-doubt. They simply refuse to let it dominate the conversation. They override it. They out-talk it. They outwork it. They feed their inner voice with so much strength, conviction, and proof that the critic grows weaker and weaker until it loses its grip. But here's the warning: you must stay vigilant, because the inner critic never dies. It waits. It looks for moments of weakness, fatigue, or disappointment to creep back in. That's why daily self-talk, daily affirmations, daily reflection are non-negotiable. Just as you wouldn't go one day without eating. You cannot go one day without feeding your mind with the words that sustain it. Surround yourself with voices that reinforce your power. Listen to people who speak life, not limitation. Read books that inspire, not drag you down. Fill your environment with messages that support your vision, because your inner voice is shaped not just by what you say, but by what you consume. Garbage in, garbage out. Power in, power out. So here is the challenge. Become your own greatest coach. Speak to yourself with authority. Confront fear with action. Answer doubt with truth. Declare daily who you are and who you are becoming. Make your inner voice so strong, so unwavering, that no external criticism can shake you, because when you master the voice inside, the voices outside no longer matter. The battlefield of life is won or lost in the 6 inches between your ears. Guard it, train it, command it. When your inner voice becomes your ally, you become unstoppable. You can have the strongest vision, the highest standards, and the most disciplined routines, but if your environment is toxic, your growth will suffocate. Environment is invisible, yet it shapes everything. It whispers to you every day. It influences your energy, your focus, your decisions, whether you notice it or not. Think about it. A seed planted in poor soil, no matter how perfect, will wither. But that same seed, planted in fertile ground, will flourish. You are no different. You are the seed, and your environment is the soil. If your soil is weak, filled with negativity, distraction, and mediocrity, you will never grow into your full potential. But if your soil is strong, filled with encouragement, excellence, and accountability, you will thrive. Here's the truth. Most people ignore you, become the average of the voices you hear, the habits you see, the standards you tolerate. If your circle is filled with complainers, you will complain. If it's filled with quitters, you will quit. If it's filled with winners, you will rise. Energy is contagious, and you cannot remain immune to the people you surround yourself with. Ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? Do they lift me up or pull me down? Do they challenge me or comfort me into staying the same? Do they remind me of my vision or distract me from it? Your environment is not just people, it's also the spaces you live in, the information you consume, the routines you follow. If your home is cluttered, your mind will feel cluttered. If your digital world is filled with noise, your focus will scatter. If your calendar is stuffed with meaningless activity, your energy will drain. Champions are ruthless about environment. They curate it like a masterpiece. They remove the unnecessary. They design their spaces, their routines, and their relationships with intention. Because they know environment is not neutral, it is either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. Look at history. Great minds always created environments that fueled their genius. Nikola Tesla worked in solitude to protect his focus. Steve Jobs demanded simplicity and precision in every design space. Athletes train in facilities built to maximize strength, focus, and recovery. They understood that environment is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Now here's the challenge. Most people stay stuck because they are afraid to change their environment. They fear leaving behind old friends, even when those friends drag them down. They fear setting boundaries at home, even when chaos consumes their energy. They fear saying no to distractions, because distractions feel comfortable, but comfort, as we know, is the silent killer. If you want to rise, you must outgrow environments that no longer serve you. That may mean leaving the circle where gossip is normal and joining the circle where growth is normal. That may mean deleting apps that waste your attention and filling your phone with podcasts, audiobooks, and tools that sharpen your mind. That may mean cleaning your space until it reflects the order and excellence you expect of yourself. Don't underestimate this. Your environment speaks louder than your motivation. On your weakest day, it will decide for you. A kitchen stocked with junk food makes discipline harder. A home office filled with clutter makes focus harder. A circle of friends who settle for less makes dreaming bigger harder. But if your environment is designed for growth, it carries you when your willpower runs out. Here's a principle. Willpower is temporary, but environment is permanent. Use your environment to make the right choice, the easy choice. Put your gym clothes where you can see them. Place your books on your desk instead of your phone. Surround yourself with people whose normal habits are your aspirational habits. If they exercise daily, learn daily, build daily, you will too without even realizing it. And remember this, if you cannot find the right environment, create it. You don't need permission to build spaces that reflect your future instead of your past. Start small. Clean a room. Curate your digital feed. Limit your exposure to cynics. Every change you make in your environment is a declaration, I take my destiny seriously. This is not about perfection. It's about alignment. Align your surroundings with your vision. Align your relationships with your standards. Align your routines with your discipline. When everything around you reinforces who you want to become, growth feels natural, not forced. So let me ask you, if someone walked into your environment today, your home, your workspace, your circle of friends, would they see the reflection of a winner, or would they see evidence of compromise, distraction, and excuses? Winners know that their environment is not something to adapt to, it's something to design. They are not passive. They are architects. They understand that if they live in environments of excellence, excellence becomes their default. Your environment is either your silent prison or your silent mentor. Choose wisely. There is a universal truth that separates dreamers from doers, the unsuccessful from the unstoppable. Action is the bridge between vision and reality. You can think, you can plan, you can visualize, but until you act, nothing changes. The world does not reward ideas. It rewards execution. Most men live in their minds. They imagine, they wish, they talk, they tell themselves they will start someday, but someday is a lie. Someday is the excuse of the drifter. The master understands that action, even imperfect action, is the only force that bends life to his will. Think of it this way. Momentum is born not from thought, but from movement. A small step creates energy. That energy compounds, and soon, what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. The man who acts daily, who executes relentlessly, who refuses to wait for perfect conditions, discovers that the impossible dissolves under the weight of persistence. History has proven this. Edison did not talk his way into the light bulb he built, failed, and built again 10,000 times until it worked. Ford did not sit back hoping for inspiration. He demanded his engineers keep acting until they produced the V8 engine. Rockefeller did not dream about oil empires. He executed on plans, reinvested his profits, and expanded without hesitation. Their secret was not luck. It was relentless action. Action creates clarity. Too many people wait until they know enough before they begin. But you only learn by doing. Each step reveals the next. Each move sharpens your vision. Knowledge without action is potential energy trapped in a cage. Action releases it into the world where it multiplies. The excuses will always sound convincing. I need more time. I need more money. I need to feel ready. But no one feels ready. No one ever has enough time, enough money, or enough certainty. Masters do not wait for resources. They create resources by moving first. When you commit, the world conspires to meet you halfway. Opportunities appear, allies notice. Solutions emerge, but only for those already in motion. Let's talk about fear. Fear thrives in inaction. When you hesitate, fear grows larger. But when you act, fear shrinks. The fastest way to silence doubt is to take one bold step. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of fear. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that fear is an illusion. And what about failure? The drifter sees failure as the end. The master sees failure as tuition, the price of wisdom. Every failure carries instruction. Every setback is feedback. If you study it, adjust, and keep moving, failure becomes fuel. But if you avoid action out of fear of failure, you guarantee defeat before the race even begins. There's a law of the universe. You must engrave into your mind, inaction breeds doubt and weakness. Action breeds confidence and strength. You cannot think your way into confidence. You earn it by doing. Each small action is a vote of belief in yourself. Over time, those votes accumulate into unshakable certainty. Now consider this action is not random busyness. True action is strategic. Blind motion wastes energy. Intelligent action multiplies it. Before you act, ask, does this move me closer to my vision? If the answer is yes, execute immediately. If the answer is no, eliminate it without regret. Discipline is the structure that keeps action consistent. Without discipline, action is sporadic, flashes of effort surrounded by days of drift. With discipline, action becomes identity. You no longer wait to feel motivated, you act because that is who you are. Discipline transforms you into a man who does not negotiate with excuses. Build rituals that force action. Write daily. Train daily. Plan daily. Execute daily. Let your schedule carry you. When motivation runs dry, when the alarm rings, you move. When the task appears, you execute. You condition yourself until hesitation is not an option. Let me remind you, action compounds. A single push may feel insignificant, but repeated daily, it builds unstoppable momentum. $1 invested grows into wealth. One page written becomes a book. One connection nurtured becomes a network. Greatness is never the result of one giant leap. It is the result of thousands of small, consistent steps. Ask yourself right now, what action am I avoiding? What step could I take today that would bring me closer to my destiny? It doesn't need to be grand. It needs to be definite. Begin where you are, with what you have. The perfect moment will never come. The only perfect moment is now. Imagine yourself a year from today. If you act daily, what will your life look like? Wealth begins to accumulate. Health begins to strengthen. Opportunities appear. Confidence rises. Imagine yourself a year from today. If you do nothing, nothing changes. The same excuses, the same frustrations, the same life. Which future do you choose? Life bows to the man who acts. Doors open for the one who knocks. Opportunities reveal themselves to the one who moves. Fortune whispers to the one who is already in motion. Say this aloud, I act now. I refuse delay. I execute daily. My persistence creates momentum. My momentum creates destiny. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. Cross it every day, and you will discover that nothing is truly impossible. There comes a point in every man's journey where ordinary effort is no longer enough. Talent has carried him as far as it can. Knowledge has served its purpose. Now, the only thing that separates him from greatness is a decision. The decision to become unstoppable. Unstoppable is not about strength alone. It is not about being the smartest, the fastest, or the most gifted. It is about developing a mindset so strong that no obstacle can shatter it, no setback can derail it, and no criticism can penetrate it. When you carry this mindset, you do not merely hope for success, you command it. The unstoppable man does not dabble. He does not dip a toe into the waters of destiny. He burns the ships behind him. He leaves himself no retreat. Failure is not an option because quitting does not exist in his vocabulary. Every obstacle he faces becomes fuel. Every defeat becomes instruction. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to reveal the depth of his will. Think about it. Storms come to every life. Some men collapse under them. Others endure. But the unstoppable man uses the storm itself as power. The winds that knock others down become the winds that push his sails forward. He does not curse the storm, he bends it to his favor. This mindset is not built overnight. It is forged in the fire of persistence. Every day you choose discipline over distraction. You are tempering your will. Every time you push through pain instead of retreating, you are strengthening your spirit. Every time you silence excuses and take one more step, you are proving to yourself that you are unstoppable. The masses surrender. When comfort calls, the master refuses. He has trained himself to hunger for discomfort, to crave challenge, to see difficulty, not as a sign to stop, but as a sign that he is on the right path. The harder the road, the greater the reward, and he welcomes both. But let us be clear, the unstoppable mindset is not recklessness. It is not blind aggression. It is disciplined power. It is the fusion of clarity, vision, faith, and relentless execution. The unstoppable man is not a man who thrashes wildly. He is precise, focused, ruthless with his priorities. He knows exactly what he wants, why he wants it, and he aligns every word, every thought, every action toward that vision. Ask yourself, do you live this way or do you drift? Pulled in 1,000 directions by distractions, by opinions, by fear. To be unstoppable, you must cut away the noise, simplify your focus. Eliminate every habit, every person, every environment that keeps you tied to mediocrity. You cannot rise while you are chained to the weight of average. The unstoppable man guards his mind like a fortress. He does not allow fear to linger, doubt to echo, or negativity to take root. When fear whispers, he answers with faith. When doubt arises, he smothers it with action. When negativity knocks, he locks the gates of his mind and refuses entry. His inner dialogue is his greatest weapon. He speaks to himself as a king speaks to his army, with authority, with conviction, with certainty. Consider this: persistence is the twin of faith. Faith without persistence flickers out. Persistence without faith becomes exhaustion. But when combined, they form an unstoppable engine. Faith fuels the vision. Persistence drives the action. And together they conquer all resistance. Now think about your own life. How many times have you stopped 3 feet from gold? How many times have you quit just before the breakthrough arrived? The truth is, most people never fail because they lack potential. They fail because they stop. They surrender at the edge of possibility. The unstoppable man refuses. He dives deeper. He persists longer. He stands taller. And because he refuses to quit, victory eventually bows before him. Say this to yourself: I am unstoppable. I do not surrender. I do not drift. I push forward when others retreat. I rise when others fall. I persist until victory is mine. This is not arrogance. It is law. The universe itself cannot resist the man who decides that nothing will stop him. Circumstances bend to persistence. Fortune bows to faith. Wealth rushes to definiteness. Opportunity appears for relentless action. And here lies the final truth. The unstoppable mindset is not just about achieving goals. It is about transforming who you are. You are no longer a man who wishes. You are no longer a man who drifts. You are a man who commands, who acts, who persists. You are a man who refuses excuses, refuses retreat, and refuses mediocrity. You are the embodiment of possibility. When you live this way, the world changes. People feel your energy. Doors open where walls once stood. Circumstances bend to your vision. And your life becomes a living testimony that everything truly is possible for the one who refuses to stop. So decide now. Burn the bridges to your old life. Shatter the chains of drift. Write your decree. Guard your faith. Discipline your habits. Surround yourself with giants. Persist until the impossible becomes inevitable. Say it one final time with conviction. I am unstoppable. Nothing can break me. Nothing can stop me. I persist until everything I dream becomes reality. Because that, my friend, is the essence of the unstoppable mindset. And once you carry it, your destiny is no longer a question. It is a guarantee. Now pause. Take a deep breath. Let everything you've heard sink in. Because the truth is this: nothing in your life will change until you change. You've just walked through the principles of building an unstoppable mindset. You've seen how discipline, persistence, environment, action, and faith combine to create a force that nothing can stand against. This is not theory, it's the blueprint. The only question is, will you live it? Here's the challenge. Don't just listen. Don't just nod your head. Don't let this be another video that inspires you for 10 minutes and then fades into the background of your busy life. Take one decision right now. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Act on it before this day ends. That's how you prove to yourself that you are done drifting, done hesitating, done living below your potential. If this message has lit a fire inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Someone you know is starving for this exact truth. Share it with them. Be the spark that changes their life too. And if you're ready to keep growing, if you're ready to keep reprogramming your mind for wealth, for discipline, for destiny, then subscribe right now. Not tomorrow, not later now, because every week we bring you more than motivation. We bring you the tools, the words, the strategies that carve a stronger, richer, unstoppable you. Remember, this fortune favors the bold, and today, boldness is clicking that button, committing to this journey, and refusing to ever settle again. So join the movement, step into the ranks of those who rise, because from this moment forward, the impossible no longer exists. Push yourself, persist until victory. Build the mind that wins every time.